The SCP Foundation is full of mysteries, but some of the most enduring mysteries of all are the sources of their most famous images, from the melting lizard to a certain infamous sculpture. Even though many SCP page images have been removed or replaced in the last few years due to copyright, the originals were around long enough to become iconic pieces of internet horror history. It's likely that many of the fan-favorite SCPs wouldn't be nearly as well known if they hadn't had those images. So today, we're giving some much-needed credit to the iconic pictures behind some of the most well-known SCPs. First, let's look at SCP-682, the hard-to-destroy reptile. This classic image of a skeletal crocodile-like head covered in strips of rotting flesh comes from a series of pictures taken on Sakhalin, an island located in the Strait of Tartary off the coast of Russia. These pictures show multiple angles of a carcass on a beach, with one picture showing an off-screen person holding its jaws open with a large stick. They were first posted online on August 16, 2006, on the Argentinian science fiction website Axion, alongside a story about fishermen discovering the strange remains on the beach. Apparently, this story was corroborated by then-director of the Sakhalin Cultural Department, Vladimir Bedzyov. Soon after it went viral in Argentina, it was translated and reposted on cryptozoology blog Cryptomundo. The corpse was dubbed the Sakhalin sea wolf and was theorized to be everything from an undiscovered species of seal to a prehistoric marine reptile. Much like the Montauk monster, the Zuyo Maru carcass, and other mysterious sea monster carcasses, the sea wolf story fell into obscurity. Scientists examined the photos and judged that it was most likely the long-dead remains of a beluga whale. From one scary animal skull to another, now let's take a look at the source of SCP-1471, the entity summoned by the Mal-O app. This picture shows a shaggy creature with a dog skull for a face and eerie black eyes peering in through the window in what looks like the door of a classroom or office. This picture was posted, fittingly, on October 31, 2011 by a DeviantArt user called Terrangriff. The creature in the picture is Terrangriff's original character, Brenz the zombie werewolf, who appears in a bunch of the pictures on their account. The specific image on the SCP-1471 entry is called "Don't Open the Door." As the image description explains, it was taken at the hotel while Terrangriff was attending MCM London Expo. The costume was made by a company called Clockwork Creatures, who, as a fun aside, had their fursuits featured in an indie fantasy film called Bitter Lake, also in 2011. Brenz the zombie werewolf is also the page header for Clockwork Creatures' website, so it's clear that the SCP-1471 page has brought them a lot of new site traffic. Good for them. But you know what would be good for you? Subscribing to SCP Explained, where you'll find tons of fascinating videos about the world of the SCP Foundation, just like this one. Anyway, it's time to get to some of the really creepy pics. Now let's take a look at SCP-106, the Old Man. One oft-repeated rumor about the image's origin is that it was a heavily edited version of a famous picture taken in the trenches of World War I of a shell-shocked soldier looking at the camera with a very creepy grin. This has been debunked. The real source of the Old Man image was found very recently thanks to some tireless detective work from the SCP community on Reddit. Dr. Gears, who posted the SCP-106 entry in 2010, said when asked that he found the picture on 4chan, where he used to just scroll through and save images for future use. Through a combination of reverse image searching and examining the picture's metadata, the original 4chan post was tracked down. When uncropped, it became evident that this photo was actually of a painting. Then the search became trying to track down the name of the artist behind it. Eventually, Reddit user Monsters on Screen was able to track down the first ever instance of the picture being posted online, which led them to the name of the artist. On August 16, 2007, an artist by the name of Christopher Goodman posted the image on his Facebook page. Even though the painting was posted in 2007, it was painted sometime around 2001 or 2002. Another painting that will be immediately recognizable to SCP Foundation fans is SCP-1155. This SCP is an entity that resembles a human body with an owl's head, which hunts by stalking the streets disguised as a piece of street art. It can appear anywhere where there's a blank wall and brutally kills its prey with its claws and talons. The current page image is a photoshopped artwork made by SCP Wiki user Eddybird, but the original was painted by New York-based muralist Gaia Street Art. The piece is appropriately called Predator and was painted onto the stoop of a building near a bus stop. In Gaia's own words, here was the intention behind the artwork. A lot of image-based street art interventions simply recede into the environment and go relatively unnoticed. The powerful and potentially inflammatory gesture of the artists imposing themselves illegally is seen almost as a parody for most people hardly recognizing the existence of the poster. Yet the poster is setting a trap, luring viewers in, beckoning them to sit and notice. While we can't say for how long Predator was up before the building's owners noticed it, the image of it that used to be on the SCP-1155 article is thankfully still up on Gaia's Flickr account. Next is SCP-1981, Ronald Reagan cut up while talking. This SCP is a Betamax recording of the Empire of Evil speech that Reagan gave to the National Association of Evangelicals in Orlando, Florida in 1983. Over the course of the tape, Reagan sustains various wounds from no clear source, and the speech becomes increasingly incoherent and disturbing. The nature of his injuries and the speech change every time the tape is watched, and watching it can trigger bad dreams and paranoia. The page image for SCP-1981 is a series of screenshots showing Ronald Reagan at various stages of decay. These pictures were made specifically for the SCP page by SCP Wiki user and author of the SCP-1981 article, DigiWizard, who edited screenshots from a recording of the actual Empire of Evil speech. The title of the SCP, Ronald Reagan Cut Up While Talking, is a reference to a song called George Bush Cut Up While Talking by Montreal-based post-rock collective Godspeed You! Black Emperor. The track is from their 2002 album Youngqui UXO and samples a collage of random words and syllables from a speech originally given by George W. Bush. SCP-087 is an infinite staircase located on an unspecified university campus. According to the wiki entry, the staircase is completely pitch black the whole way down. The further you descend, the more you start to hear strange voices crying and whispering somewhere in the distance. If that's not scary enough, in most explorations of the staircase, D-Class personnel have run into an entity known as SCP-087-1, a ghostly face in the darkness with no nostrils, no mouth, and blank white eyes. The picture of the infinite staircase itself is a composite of two separate pictures. The right half of the image comes from a photo of a stairwell in Turner Hall, a building on the Offutt Air Force Base in Nebraska, USA, and was taken by photographer Josh Plugger in 2007. The left side of the stairwell is taken from an apartment building in Lviv, Ukraine. As for the image for SCP-087-1, the source is a little more mysterious. It's often claimed to be from an Amiga demo called De Profundis. In actuality, De Profundis wasn't released until 2019, long after the SCP-087 article was written. The confusion comes from the fact that the original 087 image and the face from De Profundis are both based on the same thing, a creepy and very realistic sculpture called Nil by Australian artist Sam Jinks. And then there's a personal favorite of ours, SCP-082, an abnormally tall, strong, and apparently immortal cannibal who has a penchant for fine dining and spinning tales about his life that are very obvious lies. Even though the original page image had a black box over his eyes, the original page image for Fernand the Cannibal was pretty obviously a picture of French professional wrestler Andre the Giant. You might assume that image was taken from one of his wrestling promos, or maybe The Princess Bride, his most famous acting role, but it's actually from a slightly more obscure source, a commercial for Honeycomb cereal that aired on American TV back in the 1980s and 90s. In the commercial, Andre plays a fairy tale-style giant who reaches into a kid's treehouse to steal their cereal, giving us that immediately recognizable shot of him with his mouth wide open and his hands reaching towards the camera. After this picture was removed for copyright concerns, the image that replaced it was a heavily edited photo of a statue of the cave troll from The Lord of the Rings, which stands outside the Weta Workshop studio and offices in Wellington, New Zealand. One of the creepiest images in any SCP Foundation article is the image hidden within the addendums on SCP-1875, the antique chess computer. This SCP is based on the Mechanical Turk, a clockwork automaton built in the 1770s that was designed to be able to beat a human at chess. Audiences at the time thought that they were witnessing the first ever intelligent machine, but of course, this machine was a total scam. The robot was actually controlled by a human chess master hidden underneath the table. But for our purposes here, given that this is the SCP Foundation, the truth behind SCP-1875 is much more gruesome. It's explained that this chess-playing automaton is powered by the preserved brains of the twin daughters of a Russian chess prodigy, and the pieces of the chess set are carved out of their bones. During testing of the antique chess computer, all personnel present received a highly corrupted email at the same time. It contained a stretched and distorted black and white photo of the two teenage girls. Unlike the other images on this list so far, the source of the original image is unknown. It was likely a creepy Photoshop edit that had been circling around the internet before the SCP-1875 article was written. The new image is a heavily edited picture of two girls on a roller coaster taken from the website for a theme park in Queensland, Australia called Aussie World. SCP-096 is one of the most iconic characters the SCP Wiki has ever produced. It has appeared absolutely everywhere and became almost a mascot for the SCP Foundation over the years. So of course, we have to include the sources for some of the most famous pictures associated with this iconic anomaly. SCP-096 is a tall, thin humanoid creature who constantly tries to keep its face covered and flies into an unstoppable rage if anyone anywhere on Earth sees its face. This even goes for photographs, no matter how distant or pixelated they are. The page image for SCP-096 is a picture of a hiker standing in a snowy mountain range with a circle drawn around a few pixels in the background. According to the article, those pixels are the distant face of SCP-096, and the hiker in the photo, looking at it after it was developed, was enough to trigger the creature's rage state. The original image of the hiker in the mountains was posted by SCP Wiki user Dr. Dan in 2010, but as you can probably guess by this point, the original source is unknown. However, while we might not know who took the photo, we do know where it was taken. The location in the picture has been identified as Zero Point in Sikkim, India. Zero Point is the last stop accessible to civilians before the border with China, and it's a popular spot for tourists to take photos. If you've ever spent time looking at paranormal videos on TikTok, you'll probably have heard of the knot deer. In real life, those creepy deer can usually be explained by a chronic wasting disease. But in the SCP universe, these are instances of SCP-6448. These are anomalously intelligent bipedal deer that mimic voices and stalk humans through the Appalachian wilderness. The page image for this SCP is described as 6448 instance imitating a non-anomalous deer. It's an admittedly pretty unsettling trail cam image of a stag cautiously observing the camera as it walks by. The image came from a Flickr gallery of a woman named Lisa Zins from Mount Juliet, Tennessee, and was uploaded in 2015. In addition to this and other eerie night vision shots of the deer in her area, there are also plenty of daytime shots which are much cuter. Now we've saved the best for last, the SCP image that started it all. SCP-173 was the first SCP article ever written and was posted to 4chan before the SCP Wiki even existed. SCP-173 is a statue that must be observed at all times by direct eye contact, or else it will kill whoever is nearby by snapping their neck. The original image, which has been removed but remains in circulation in fan works and reproductions, shows a humanoid statue with green and red markings on its face and strange childlike proportions, positioned up against the wall in a blank, dirty room. This statue, called Untitled 2004, was made by Japanese artist Izumi Kato and was created using wood, charcoal, and acrylic paint. Untitled 2004 is pretty typical of Kato's art style. His body of work is made up of sculptures and paintings that depict similar distorted childlike figures with painted faces. As for why he made Untitled 2004, Kato provides little explanation for what any of his art means, preferring to challenge his audience with deliberate ambiguity. These are just a few of the hundreds of images that have been attached to SCP Foundation articles over the years. Even though the sources for many of them have sadly been lost to time, fans are discovering new image sources every day. Let us know down in the comments which SCP image you're most curious about the origin of. Now check out SCP-715, Selfies Are Terrifying, My Face That I May Be, or SCP-096 Tale, Picture Perfect, for more.